Hello, I'm Charlotte Cohen and this is the Scottish Football Podcast, all the news, views and analysis you need on Friday the 26th of December. And what a weekend of action we have in store for you.
Goal! Equaliser, it's Martin Boyle. 1-1, good strike.
Shankland, tight angle, scores! An outstanding low rifle finish!
It's an eagerly awaited Edinburgh Derby, starting the weekend off on Saturday lunchtime. And we've got a new firm derby coming up on Saturday night.
This looks promising for Aberdeen. It's through for Bilalovic!
Oh my!
And it's 1-1!
Goal! And it's Stevenson. Thought he was going on for a groin strain and he finds the bottom corner.
Aberdeen and Dundee United are both in better form and chasing 3 points. Plus, there's 4 games sandwiched in between as Rangers host Motherwell, with both sides chasing third spot.
Yeah, I think any win in this league is extremely important and extremely significant.
Exactly, this is football. Yeah, I think we have 90 minutes small stories.
We'll guide you through all of this weekend's action.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Alongside me, Mark Atkinson, Scotsman Sports Editor. Good morning, Mark. Are you looking forward to this weekend?
Good morning. Yep, really, really exciting set of fixtures. Love having all the games on the same day. Love having them spaced out. Should be a cracker.
Nice one. And alongside him, Cammy Bell, goalkeeper with 5 Premiership clubs, no one better to talk us through the action. Cammy, what about you? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, no, really looking forward to some great fixtures this weekend. And as Mark said, it's very rare nowadays we get all the fixtures on a Saturday. So, yeah, it should be a cracker.
Nice to be sandwiched in that kind of period between Christmas and New Year where nobody kind of knows what day it is. At least you've got the football to kind of ground your week. Well, let's start with the Edinburgh Derby because Hearts are absolutely flying. That win over Rangers has really boosted their title charge. Even Derek McInnes now admitting that they're in the title race. Mark, would you say they're favourites at the moment?
I think right now they're favourites, but that can change. But just looking at how each team is playing, they are the best in Scotland and they're full of confidence. I think they've shown they can overcome a blip by beating Celtic and then going on a run again. So I do make them favourites, but I'm fascinated to see what happens at Easter Road and then afterwards in the January transfer window. So 2 big moments coming up for Hearts. This game at Hibs is a real test of their credentials. While Hibs haven't been as good as they were last year, they're still a very solid, decent Premiership team, and they're going to want to do one on Hearts. They lost the last Edinburgh Derby in really painful circumstances at Tynecastle, and you can imagine the stadium will be full, it'll be bouncing, and there'll be a real desire to show that they can still be a force to be reckoned with in this division. So we have another serious examination of Hearts coming up. But yeah, right now I like what I see at Tynecastle. They just look like a really good football team, a team that could win the title.
And I mean, they've kind of brushed aside the old firm twice each now. They showed a lot of determination on Sunday against Rangers. But Cammy, do you think they maybe looked a bit weary towards the end of the game? Do you think this high intensity is maybe going to be a struggle to keep up throughout the season?
No, I think the way that they're playing at the moment, the confidence. Listen, that game at Tynecastle against Rangers was so important. I think there was a lot of pressure on Hearts. There was a lot of focus on the game to see if they could stand up and win that game because they knew it was going to be a real challenge. I think off the back of that, they've now got another huge challenge in the Edinburgh Derby. We know that brings a different emotion to the game for both sets of players and fans. So they need to navigate their way through this difficult game because Hibs are a good side, as Matt said. I think they've got good players. It's not been a vintage season for them so far, but they've been okay and they can change that and they can turn that around. And I think it's a big game for Hibs when you look at them staying in touch with Rangers and Motherwell. I think if they go and get 3 points, and it does keep them in touch. But listen, touching on Hearts, I think they've been fantastic this season. I think when you look at the goals that they've conceded, I think they've only conceded 14, but they're also scoring a lot of goals, 36 goals at the top end of the pitch. So they've got a real threat. And for me, that they're comfortable defending for long periods. Halkett and Finlay in the centre half area, they're really comfortable for long periods defending. So I think they've got a brilliant team. I really do think they have a chance now of winning the title, but Saturday's another massive test for them.
Mark, you touched on January and just how important that is going to be for Hearts. Do you see them adding to their squad? Do you see them strengthening if they really want to push for the title?
They will strengthen. They're already bringing in Islam Chesnikov, who's a very, very good winger from Kazakhstan. I would imagine they will sign a right back. They've gone on record saying that they want to strengthen that area. And I suspect they might try and sign another striker, because if you were to lose Lawrence Shankland or Claudio Braga for a period of time, I'm not convinced that Landry Kabore can come in and give them the same goal threat. So I think also January is a big one for them, but also a big one for Rangers and Celtic. And I think when we allude to January, it's probably more about what the old firm do in terms of bridging that gap with Hearts right now. Nevertheless, I think you'll see 3 signings at least at Hearts. Don't expect a massive splurge at Tynecastle. There's not actually that much scope to bring in players. They've got a bloated squad. If you look at the Hearts senior squad, why they've been so good this year is because when they do lose players, they've got a number of reinforcements they can bring in. But I do think they are light at striker and at right back if you're talking about a title charge. They've benefited so much from not having European football this season. That's kept their squad relatively fresh. I think as you find the season goes on, you will see more injuries. You will see a drop-off in form from certain players. So I'm sure Derek McInnes will want a few extra options. But what a great position to be in when you only have to bring in a couple of players to keep your title challenge going. And that's a testament to the hard work that's been done at Tynecastle so far.
I know it was probably almost unthinkable at the start of the season that we would even be having these conversations, let alone actually have a team who is not Celtic or Rangers top at the moment. So I suppose it makes for a very exciting second half of the season. But just looking at Hibs, they have had their struggles so far, particularly with being able to turn draws into wins. Cammy, what do you think is going wrong for Hibs at the moment?
Well, I think what's went wrong for a period in the season is probably conceding goals. I think they went through a period where they were obviously conceding goals, and as you say, too many draws has cost them a lot of points. But listen, I still think they're a very good team and a well-equipped team to go and do well for the second half of the season. Will they look at the January transfer window and try and bring in some new faces? Probably, yes, just to freshen it up. I don't think they're far away. I really don't. I don't think they're far away. Can they put a real run together? And again, it's an opportunity on Saturday for them. They can see this as a huge opportunity to really kickstart their second half of the season, because if they can get a win, it'll just bring that feel-good factor around Easter Road. And again, we all know what that can generate is a real good confidence around the place. And as I say, I think it's a big one for them, because if they can get the win against Hearts, it's a real statement for them, but also keeps them in touch with Motherwell and Rangers just above them.
And David Gray, Mark, has not been far away from criticism before. Obviously, he went through a really tricky spell last season, but I mean, are there maybe murmurs of discontent among the Hibs supporters just now?
Not just now, but I think this game could bring them if they don't get a positive result. Hibs haven't had a big win in the league this season. They've played Rangers, Celtic and Hearts and lost every single time. And there's a feeling, I think, around Hibs that they've probably stagnated this season while other teams around them have got better. And I think a defeat by Hearts at Easter Road, that's probably going to turn the pressure up on David Gray. Cammy's right about Hibs. They are a good team, but they have lacked a cutting edge in recent matches, which is quite weird to say given they're the third top scorers in the league. But guys like Kieran Bowie and Martin Boyle and Thibaut Clige, they're not taking their chances. I think they lack a little bit of creativity in midfield. Their only real threat comes from out wide in Nicky Cadden. So there are issues at Hibs that need to be solved. If you win the derby, it does give you that perfect springboard. Cammy's absolutely spot on there. I'd like to see them go and win this one to ease any potential issues for David Gray, but I'm not convinced they will. I just don't see enough from this Hibs team right now to think that they can go and do a number on a really strong Hearts team. But they do have home advantage. I think the first goal will be crucial on Saturday lunchtime.
Well, let's look ahead to Saturday night. New firm derby, with both teams kind of been on the up in recent times. Aberdeen were on a good run, second best against Celtic for pretty much the whole game. But Cammy, do you think the manner of the way they lost to Celtic, particularly going down to 10, conceding those two really late goals, particularly after getting the equaliser, is going to maybe have dented their confidence a little bit?
I certainly don't think it should. Again, they've been on a brilliant run of form. We all know the struggles they had at the start of the season. But they've been on domestically a really good run of form until that Celtic game. You look at it for long periods, yes, they were second best, but they were in the game. They were, until that 88th minute goal from Tierney, they were getting a point. They were taking a point away from Celtic Park, which would have been a fantastic result for them. Especially playing a long period with 10 men. So, listen, I don't think they can be too downhearted by what happened at Celtic Park. I think they've got to get back to focusing on what they'd done before that and winning games of football, because I think they really have turned the corner, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle the game on Saturday and what result comes of it, because it's got to be that positive reaction. When you get a setback, it's that positive reaction. We spoke about Hearts being able to do that, and it's similar for Aberdeen. They've got to get back to winning ways. It's going to be a difficult fixture for them, but I'm pretty sure the players will be looking forward to it.
And what about January, Mark, for Aberdeen? I mean, do you see them having a busy transfer window?
I do. I think you'll see players coming in at Aberdeen, but also going out. They've got a new director of football, or sporting director, in Lutz Pfannenstiel. This will be his first transfer window. I'm sure he'll want to put his mark on that squad. Aberdeen's squad's a sort of a mishmash of players, you could argue, and I think they probably need to drill down and focus in on certain positions. They still lack a proper midfielder who can add ballast, who can dominate games. I think they're a bit weak in that part of the team. You could also argue that up top, Marko Lanstic and Kevin Nisbet aren't scoring enough goals. So I think Aberdeen will probably want to strengthen in that department. The foundations are there for Aberdeen. I think we've seen in this run of fixtures, 1 defeat in 8 league games, that they have got good players. They can be a threat. Like a lot of teams in the division, they've been plagued by inconsistency, but they don't have any European football to worry about for the second half of the season. It's quite an important window for Aberdeen. I think Jimmy Tweed had a difficult year. I know it sounds strange having won the Scottish Cup, but apart from that, the league form has been pretty ropey. And I think Aberdeen fans will want to see a strong end to the season. Otherwise, those questions about him will resurface. But with Pfannenstiel there, he's got really good support, and I would expect them to be active.
Well, Dundee United were very active in the summer. They had a big turnover of players. Cammy, do you think it's starting to look like they're beginning to gel now, and we could go on to see this team properly kick on?
Yeah, I think what's important for Dundee United is they're starting to get players back fit. I think they had periods where they had important players that were missing. A lot of injuries, a real struggle for Jim Goodwin to put a consistent team on the pitch. So I think they felt the impacts of that this season. Again, it was a decent result against Hibs, because it's been an inconsistent season, as Matt said, for a lot of teams, but it's been certainly one of them for Dundee United as well. They've had good results, but also ones that they should have picked up more points from games. So they'll be looking to try and turn that around, put some sort of consistency together. And it's although it's a big game for Aberdeen, I feel like it's a big game for Dundee United as well, that they need to get something out of it. Again, it's important for them trying to put a run together for the second half of the season, because after that, I think on Tuesday night they play Livingston away. So if they could manage to go to Pittodrie, get 3 points, and then get 3 points away to Livingston, what a start to the second half of the season for them.
Yeah, I think only lost one of their last 6 games, United. So, I mean, Mark, it's looking like they're maybe starting to turn a corner a little bit.
Yeah, the number of signings you make, I think it was well over 10 they brought into Dundee United. That means you're going to take time to gel. They also all came from different parts of Europe, and I think they've got a very eclectic squad. I look at Dundee United and I go, you finished 4th last year, which was a massive achievement, and they're now looking just to break into the top 6. Again, they're a team that's probably not benefited from other teams around them getting better. If they're to have genuine aspirations of being in the top six, I think they've got to go and show they can take something from places like Pittodrie and not necessarily win the game, but just stay on the coattails of the teams above them. There are good players at United. I really like Zach Sapsford, the striker, Ivan Dolcek. They've got goals in them. I was at their game against Hibs at the weekend, and I just felt they still look a little bit porous at the back. I don't trust them. I don't trust the goalkeepers in Richards and Kucherenko. I still think that structurally at centre half and out wide, they concede too many goals. That needs to be rectified. I think they'll be doing well to get into the top six, but this little run of fixtures will hopefully tell us a bit more about them.
Before we get into the rest of Saturday's matches, just a wee reminder that we've got wall-to-wall football on Radio Scotland starting at 9 o'clock with the Saturday show, and then Sportsound is on from 12. Well, Chris Boyd said at the weekend that Rangers are now out of the title race after losing to Hearts. Cammy, do you buy that?
I think they're too inconsistent for me to win the title this season. There would need to be a massive turnaround from Rangers in the second half of the season. I think the transfer window plays a huge part in where they end up, because certainly the summer transfer window wasn't good enough, the recruitment wasn't good enough, and they've not been good enough this start of this season. So I think it was a hammer blow for them on Sunday, getting beat by Hearts. But didn't surprise me, to be honest, because I'm still to be convinced by this Rangers team if they're good enough to go and win big games. And it proved that way on Sunday. So, yeah, listen, they've got another big game ahead of themselves here, because this is a real challenge for them when they face Motherwell at the weekend. And again, I think Motherwell as a team, they've been very impressive this season. They'll fancy their chances. Rangers are vulnerable. So this is a big test for Rangers. Being at home against Motherwell at Ibrox, they need to win this game. Forget the title race. They just need to win this game to look to push towards that second position at this moment in time, because they're not near top of the league. They're almost chasing that second position at the moment. They need to really put a big run together, and that's got to start with Saturday, because again, as I say, Sunday was so disappointing, the result, and I think it's deflated a lot of Rangers fans. So it's a big game for Danny Rowell at Ibrox.
I suppose when you're looking to bounce back from a defeat, I mean, Motherwell are hardly the team you want to be coming up against next. Mark, they've been doing so well this season. Are they genuine contenders for third place?
I think you can see them as, at the moment, they're on the premises for second place as well. They're certainly genuine contenders for third. Some would even have them as title contenders. I still wouldn't rule out Rangers in the title race, and I think when you do that, you probably can't rule out Motherwell either. They play such an exciting brand of football. They're brave on the ball. It's a very un-Motherwell way of playing football. They will not be scared about going to Ibrox. They will not change the way that they play. You'd look at those two teams, if you didn't put a set of strips on them, you would potentially argue that Motherwell play as you'd expect Rangers to play in that game. And I could see them going to Ibrox and doing a number on Rangers as well. I think there's a real swagger about this Motherwell team. They're probably just a striker away from being a really, really good team. They probably don't take enough of their chances. Rangers will be wary of this game because they went on a great run under Rule, 8 games unbeaten in the league, but you could say they were pretty unconvincing in all those matches. And the first time they were asked a serious question by Hearts, they couldn't answer it. This is another serious question because Motherwell have proven that they deserve to be in the top sort of tier of Scottish football right now. And they're full of confidence. Jens Bertolascu's done a great job. It's such a happy place to be, Fir Park, right now. It really wouldn't surprise me if they were to take down Rangers at Ibrox. If they did that, then you're talking about Rangers being in a really sticky position once more, and Motherwell being favourites for third place. And that's what makes this game really, really exciting. I think it's possibly the game of the weekend. I know you've got derbies in there, but I just look at those two teams and look at what's at stake and think, yeah, that's a really exciting one. Ironically, the one that's not on television.
And you look at it, Mark, as well, though, I think if Motherwell go to Ibrox, get a result, they then face Celtic on Tuesday night. So again, what an opportunity, and they would really be in the title race if they managed to get 6 points out of them 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely, Cammy. Couldn't agree more. If we talked about how Hearts had beaten Rangers and Celtic, if Motherwell go and do the same, if they go and take 6 points from these next 2 matches, then that is title challenging credentials. So yeah, we're going to learn so much about teams over the next wee while. But this Motherwell side, if I don't think they will be scared of what's ahead of them. They'll be relishing it.
Who'd have thought we'd be talking about 4 teams potentially being in a title race at Christmas? It's just like it's incredible. But Celtic are obviously one of the teams we mentioned in there. It's been a real struggle for Wilfred Nancy. Finally got his first victory. Cammy, he needs to back this up at Livingston, doesn't he?
Oh, 100%. There's no getting away from it. There was a lot of relief in that 88th minute goal from Tierney. You could feel that in the stadium and see that from the players, even the way they celebrated that goal. Yes, you're celebrating a goal for a win that you know it's a late goal that'll potentially get you the 3 points. But I think there was a lot of relief, certainly from the players, and the manager would probably breathe a huge sigh of relief when that went in. And then James Forrest obviously backs that up later on. But yeah, he needs to back it up. There's no getting away from it. It'll be a different game going to Livingston. We all know how much they've struggled this season. They've been in real poor form. But again, I feel that's something that Celtic need to be wary of. That you almost have been waiting for weeks for Livingston to get a result, to get a win. Because I feel as if some games they have been in it and they've not been far away. And again, they'll look at Celtic and think they are vulnerable still, because they are. They've only just had that one win. They've had a huge amount of criticism recently. It's at Livingston as well. So that is a difficult fixture for Celtic to go and get 3 points, but it's a must-win game for them. They need to go and back it up, as you said.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen's goal at the weekend came from pretty much their kind of first foray into Celtic's half, really. I suppose Mark Livingston will look at that and think, we maybe just need one chance here.
There's definitely goals to be had against the Celtic team under Wilfred Nancy. If a 10-man Aberdeen team can score, then it gives everyone hope. What I would caution for Livingston, though, is that I thought Celtic on Sunday, that was the best I've seen them under Nancy. They sustained that really aggressive, energetic, attacking play. And I think, I'm not sure Livingston can cope with that. I think Celtic were probably a striker away from giving Aberdeen an absolute hiding, because Johnny Kenny and Shin Yamada just aren't the answer for a team challenging for the title. But see their general play and their wide play. Dyson Maida looked back to his very best on that left-hand side. They moved the ball around pretty well. I just think they'll have too much for Livingston. Livingston might score, but this could be the game where Celtic actually get 4 or 5. They just need to get their shooting boots on. They'll have a full week on the training ground as well. That we can't underestimate how big that is. Cam will be in a much better position to talk about this than me, just in terms of getting that full week of preparation, understanding even more what that manager wants to do. I think you'll see a slicker version of Celtic at the weekend, even though the pitch isn't conducive to slick football at Livingston. I think they'll turn up there, and I've got a real fear for Davy Martindale as Livingston team this weekend. I just think Celtic could do a number on them.
Even Wilfred Nancy said, I think in his post-match, he was really looking forward to actually having a stretch of time to work with his team, because we've seen improvements from them in the last couple of games. It's just, as you say, Mark, it's just lacking the shooting boots at the top end of the pitch. But St Mirren are at home to Kilmarnock, who, like Livingston, have been really, really struggling. Cammy, how do Killie stop this rot that's happening at the club?
I think they need to start getting results to get confidence back within the group. I really do feel as if they're struggling for that. It was a difficult result for them on Saturday. I feel like they did play slightly better, but again, the results damaging against a Falkirk team. Yes, Falkirk have been impressive at times this season, but they've had a little bit of a drop off recently. So that was a tough result for Killie, because I felt as if after Stuart Kettlewell leaving and Chris Doolan taking over, that there would have been a slight change in dynamics. I think they did play slightly better. There wasn't a great deal of opportunities in the game, but defensively looked a little bit more tighter at the back and didn't look as if they were going to concede too many goals. But yeah, there's definitely huge problems for Kilmarnock this season. I really do fear for them. Is the squad good enough? No. They've had a number of areas defensively. They've conceded the most goals in the league. That can be put down to, again, you look at the goalkeeping department, has been a huge problem for them as well. So there's major problems for them. They're obviously currently looking for a new manager, and again, I don't know what direction they go with that either. I don't think there's a standout candidate there. Peter Leven's been mentioned, there's been Alan Archibald's been mentioned, there's a few guys down south, but when you look at guys out of a job at the moment, there's not a guy that really convinces me that can turn this around for Kilmarnock, certainly with the squad they've got. So yeah, they've got massive issues, and again, it is a big game for them. Can they go to St Mirren and get a point, a positive result, to then breed confidence within the group? And I think that's all they can be looking at this moment in time.
Dundee are another team who are in a pretty similar position to Kelly, just really, really struggling. They've got Falkirk coming to Dens. Mark, Stephen Pressley really needs to start getting wins on the board, doesn't he?
Yeah, the fans are really starting to turn against Pressley and the Dundee regime right now. Understandably so. They've been, I think Dundee have been one of the poorest teams that I've seen this season. What's worried me about Dundee is the lack of fight, lack of heart. I was at their game against Livingston where they were 2-0 up, and they threw that away. And I gather against Motherwell, they were really poor. They just looked like a team that didn't want to win, had settled for a point straight away. They've just not recovered from losing their midfield from last season. Understandable, it's hard to sort of bring in great replacements for guys like Josh Mulligan and Lyle Cameron, but I think they've really malnourished their squad. I wouldn't make them favourites to beat Falkirk. In fact, I think this could be the weekend where we possibly see the bottom three getting cut adrift. If St Mirren are to beat Kilmarnock, which I fancy them to do so, and if Dundee don't beat Falkirk, which again I would fancy, I think the gap could be 6 or 7 points between the bottom three and the teams above them. I think you're looking at those three teams fighting relegation, unless they can show this weekend they've got a result in them, because you want to try and haul St Mirren and Falkirk back into the equation. I just don't know if these teams have got enough about them to do so. Dundee did win recently. They did beat St Mirren 3-1, which is a kind of an outlier of a result. I think they need to sort of show they've got that sort of scoreline in them again. But I think it could be a winter of discontent, sadly, at Dens Park for Dundee and their increasingly agitated supporters.
Well, that is all we've got time for. Many thanks, Mark and Cammy, and thank you very much for listening. Remember, we are here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day, so make sure you don't miss out. Subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll catch you again very soon.
On BBC Sounds. From life aboard a Russian submarine to chairman of Hearts Football Club.
At this stage, he was the hero.
But as his controversial decisions escalated...
They said, we're going to sack George. And I'm going, you can't do this.
How did Vladimir Romanov go from Hearts saviour to a wanted man?
It caused a whole load of chaos and havoc.
Romanov, Tsar of Hearts. Listen now on BBC Sounds.